Good evening, students. Am I audible? Please let me know if I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Can hear you.
great. So, welcome to the first session for Introduction to Law. My name is Satya Prasood. I am your instructor for this course. So, we'll start with today's session. What I'm going to do is tell you how this course is structured in different modules and what all we are going to cover. So in week one, we are going to start look at the trolley problem and ask the question about relationship between law and morality. Uh, in second week, we are going to look at in first part of the second week, uh, we are going to look at uh, constitutional history questions and look at what is so distinctive about Indian Constitution. Why is it that Indian Constitution has sustained itself for over 75 years? What are the design factors that have led to uh, that has led to endurance of Indian Constitution? Then after that, we are going to look at uh, some issues pertaining to constitutional law, where we are going to specifically focus on two issues deeply: the issue of fundamental rights and the issue of Indian federalism. Uh, we are going to cover the different kind of fundamental rights which are there, from individual rights to group rights to under which there is right to equality, right to non-discrimination, free speech, right against untouchability, freedom of religion, right to life. And under federalism, we are going to focus on territorial federalism as well as asymmetric federalism. What their meanings are, how do you derive those principles? We are going to look at the text of the Constitution and take examples from case laws to understand the principles undergirding the Indian Constitution better. Post this, we are going to look at the domain or the field of criminal law, where we are going to focus on uh, three laws to survey the landscape of criminal law. These laws uh, are BNS, which deals with substantive offences, then BNSS, which deals with the procedure that the investigating agencies have to follow uh, to when they are investigating an offense or a crime. And the third is BSA, which is Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam, where we look at how evidence is appreciated and what kind of evidence is allowed by the courts. And so basically, in this course, you are going to know the starting point from the perspective of law as to how is an offense defined and what is the procedure which has to be followed in investigation of that offense. What are the powers that have been given to the police or other investigative agencies so far as arrest so far as arrest and detention are concerned. And the last part will be that what is it that the court looks at in terms of evidence when it is deciding uh, the culpability of a person for commission of a crime. So we'll be looking at these three laws and the case laws pertaining to it to understand criminal law. After that, we are going to look at the domain of contract law, where we are going to ask this question: what is the difference between a promise and a contract? What are the ingredients of a contract? What does it mean to say that consent to a contract has to be free? What are the things that can vitiate a contract, from coercion to undue influence to fraud to agreement with a minor. And then we are going to look at some cases pertaining to contract law. After that, we are going to look at the domain of what we call as the law of torts. These are civil wrongs that where a person can be compensated if some of these general rights are violated by anyone. So these general civil wrongs will be negligence, public nuisance, trespass, and the liability standards would be one of strict liability, absolute liability, uh, and this is the domain and of law of torts. And finally, we would end by looking at the domain of cyber offenses, or what is also known as offenses under information technology. So this is the plan for the next 2 months. If there are no questions, then I would just want to uh, start with uh, the trolley problem. Have you all had a chance to go through the trolley problem? How many of you how many of you has had a chance to understand the trolley problem that is part of your module? Okay, great. So if I'll just, for people who have not had a chance, I'll just explain it in brief, and then if you have any questions, you can ask me. Now, trolley problem is a thought experiment, and there are 3 or 4 scenarios which are given, and the picture unfolds in showing you one picture and asking you this question, that if you have to decide, how will you decide? And the attempt of trolley problem is to generally see that you cannot rely only on your instinct to decide what is the right thing to do. I'll just explain what the picture is. Now, the picture, if you would look at the lecture, is very simple. It is that there is a trolley or a tram which has lost its brake, and it is going on, it is supposed to go on a straight course. You are the driver of that trolley or a tram. There is no way in which there's no way in which brakes can be applied, because it is a case of failure of brakes. And if the tram goes straight, then it will run over 5 people who find themselves on the track, are immobile, which means they can't move. So the question here is, as a driver, you have an option of pulling a lever and changing the direction of a tram to go left where it is not supposed to go. And if you decide to pull the lever and turn the tram left, then it will run over one person, unfortunate person who finds themselves on the track. So the question for you is that what will you do? Will you let the tram go on its natural course and run over 5 people? Or will you intervene and change the direction of the tram to go in an unnatural direction which was not predetermined, and let it run over that one person? So I'm asking this question again to the class, if some of you can volunteer and tell me what will you do and why? Anyone? Yes, Vaday.
Sir, I would pull that lever because I personally believe in the utilitarian theory of doing what's greatest for the greater good. Because even if I do go to jail, if I do have to serve time for
No, stop here.
killing a person.
There are no consequences. So let me just also tell
Oh,
you.
oh, there
Yes,
are no consequences.
there are no consequences. I'm asking you. There are no personal consequences on you. You were deciding in a state of emergency. Both are right. What will you do?
Oh, okay, I did not know that. Then I would definitely pull that lever.
Okay. And let it run over 5 people. Let pull that lever so that it
Only
ends
one
up
person.
killing one person instead
Yeah,
of five, because you
saving
believe
five.
in utilitarian theory. Any
Yes.
other answer? Anyone else? Yes. Anisha Das.
On the contrary, believing in deontological ethics, I would choose to do nothing, not pull the lever, because why would I insert myself in this situation?
Okay. So what is deontological theory?
It states that when people say that the means justify the ends or the ends justify the means, the ontological says that um, the rewards or the consequences of performing this action does not justify performing it. So
Yes.
saving five people does not justify killing this one person.
Yes. So that is what you have to say. When
Right,
you
okay.
say deontological theory, does not mean that why will I insert myself in this? It
Yeah,
means this, that every human, that no human can be used as a means to an end, which
yeah.
means, which and deontological theory flows from Kant, which says that the right thing to do, no matter what it is that under no situation a human will be used as a means to an end or a sacrificial lamb, no matter how greater the end result is. This would mean that if one would not end up killing one person who is definitely innocent and had nothing to do with this situation, because the tram is not going to go there. And even if it leads to killing of five people, the ontological theory will say that you will not pull the lever. So this is the difference. The utilitarian theory says that humans can be used as a means, but the only goal is what is serving the greater good for the greatest number. Deontological theory basically says that humans will not be used as a means to an end, which would mean that one will not throw in harm's way the life of one innocent person, no matter what is the solution. Okay. So if you look at the second picture, moving ahead with the second picture is something like this. That again, the tram, the brakes have failed, the tram is going straight, and there are five people on the track. This time, what is there is that you are standing on an overbridge or a bridge which is looking at all of this unfolding. And there is a person who is, oh, there is a person who is very overweight, who is also on the bridge and is probably wants to catch the sunset. He is just there because he wants to look at the sun from the bridge. He has nothing to do with it. But you know that the brakes have failed. And the decision that you have to make is this. And this is a situation that if you push that person, and the person will surely fall over the track. Let me give you this, there's no question. And the person has such weight that on an impact, the impact of the train with that person would mean that the train will stop. And obviously, the person will die. So, here the question for you is that if you will push this person over the bridge, which so that the tram comes to a stop and you end up saving five lives. Or the second thing is that you will not push that person and you will let the tram run over five people. So what would you do? Anyone, people who had responded, were they?
Sir, I was actually slightly undecided about this, but after thinking about it for a long time, I decided that I would not push that person over because, as compared to pulling a lever, pushing a person is a much more personal act. I would have to literally push that person off the bridge, and which would cause their death. And even though I would get away with with no personal consequences, I would not push this person over.
Okay. So there is a change of mind.
Yes,
But
with
you
this
realize
one,
there is no change in the situation as such. In
except for the
it's
fact that
yeah, I'm saying that in
pushing
the
person is
larger macro
person.
scheme of things
Yeah,
is okay.
I mean
I'll
things.
circle back to you.
Okay.
Archie, Goenka, and then Ilankia.
I think I will go with saving 5 lives because those 5 lives will be more beneficial for our future generations. And rather than saving the overweighted person,
Okay, stop here. I have another question with you, for you.
okay,
Okay. Now tell me this, that, so you are saying you will push the person.
yes,
Okay. What if I tell you that the person that you are pushing, and there is no legal consequence, is a
okay,
person who is a decorated army officer, and the people who find themselves on the track are convicted rapists, which means that they have already served their sentence. But these 5 people are people who have served their sentence for sexual offense, and they are there on the track. Because you said that these 5 people lives are more useful, no? So what will you do? These are useful
I
because these are 5 people, or these are useful because how did you arrive at it that 5 lives are more useful?
because those 5 lives could be youth, which
Okay, so you know what the situation is, no? Now will you
yeah,
still push the decorated army officer?
I don't think so
Why? What has changed?
because but I think still I can push him because every person should get a second chance. So the rapist who is already
Every
sentenced,
person should get
so
a second chance. Then why not the person whom you are pushing?
mm,
My self answer is
I'll
even
come to you. Let the person complete. First, you have to identify and then speak. Think about this. Then, who else is there? Yes, the person
yes.
who at a point. Next person can speak. Identify yourself and then speak.
yes, sir. Even if he is not an army person, I would not push him because I have no rights to push someone.
No, you have to decide. No.
No, sir. I can't push
Then
someone.
also you are
Is
then you also you are responsible. No.
yes, sir. But I have no rights to push someone. Is not
But
in
do you
our
have a right to?
situation.
That is why I asked. Do you have a right to pull the lever? What will you do in the first case?
First case, I will not pull the river because the direction has been chosen. I would not pull the river, sir. In first case.
What is the reason? I'm interested. In law, always remember, it is not what you will do that is important. Law runs on reasoning and logic. So you have to tell me why will you not do it? I'm interested in your reason and not what you will do. So now tell me why will you not pull the lever? Or why
I
you will
don't
pull
think
the
about
lever?
it, sir.
Hmm?
I don't think about it, sir.
No, so think about it. No, everything is backed by a reason. If all of us can think, then it should be based on a reason, no? How do you decide what is right and wrong? Do you decide it on whim, or do you decide it on some reason?
I will
Or do
think
you...
about it, sir.
Okay. Anyone else who has not spoken? Nandini.
Yes, sir. Sir, I believe that I would not push that person because that person has done nothing wrong. He is not on the track. He is standing sideways. He's just enjoying the view. So, I cannot use him like a tool to save the other people while he has not decided this by himself that he wants to become the bait. It's like killing an innocent person. So, I
Okay.
won't do
Now
it.
tell me this. If the person who is standing on the bridge is a person who's deeply dissatisfied with his life, is 95 years old, and the people who find themselves on the track, these are children between the age of 8 to 10 who have a whole life in front of them. Will your answer change?
Uh, I guess yes, sir. Since
Why?
these children have their whole lives in front of them, they are so
Hmm.
young, while the other person has already lived enough. I
But
won't say enough.
are you looking at the inconsistency? You said I have no right. The person is still innocent.
Yes,
What
he.
is happening? You guys are telling me one thing. Is your mind playing games with you? All of you were so sure generally what is it that is the right thing to do. From first to second, where the situation is the same, why is your mind telling you different things?
So the situation has changed. Earlier, it was an army officer and the rapist. Now it's a old man and young children.
So, so does it mean that that who will live and who will not live is dependent on what profession you are in, what is your past antecedent, and what is your age? What does the principle of equality say? Everyone is equal before the law, no? You are not deciding this matter as a private citizen, no? A role has been assigned. Now, if I ask this question, then everyone will flip their answer. If this is the basis, if I tell you that your very close friends are lying on the track and there is a very bona fide citizen who has nothing to do with it is standing on the bridge, then will your answer be that I'll push that person because I know those people? Don't you think it will come across as a selfish answer?
No, my answer won't be that.
No, but here in case of children and old men, what is the basis? You have made a judgment on the value of life of an old man, that he has seen a lot. So what is the necessity? So law is very fascinating. Towards the end, I'll also tell you that a case like this has happened. So all of this is not a figment of one's imagination. Not only has a case happened, this is a situation that we have seen. Just that I'm using some placeholders in place of those places, but I'll tell you. Okay. Anyone else? Anisha Das.
Yeah, so same as the last situation, I would not push him. And I just want to respond to something you said that even by not pushing him, I would still be responsible for the death of those other people. But the difference is I wouldn't be directly involved in killing somebody. That poses a less moral dilemma than directly, like, intentionally pushing somebody and killing them.
Why do you think so? Do you think that but that justification is correct? Let me just tell you this. Uh, if how did World War II end? What was the incident that led to surrender of Japan and officially the closure of World War II? Can someone tell me?
Bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the
Yes.
major death.
Yes. Bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Before that, there were a lot of combat that happened where soldiers were killing each other on border. But just think about it that, and I'm taking it from the last response of Anisha. She said that the culpability, I will feel morally less guilty if I have to pull the lever in comparison to pushing someone. But nonetheless, you have to look at the consequence. People die. Someone decided, some president decided, gave permission for dropping that bomb. Not a single soldier landed on their land. This is a decision which was made, which was made sitting in an office. It was as simple as pushing on a button, and a lot of atomic bomb fell on cities which had nothing to do, on people who had nothing to do with the war. And why I'm giving this reason? Because the reason given there was that by dropping this bomb, we are trying to prevent a larger evil. Otherwise, thousands of soldiers will die again on border where they'll have to go there and make sure that Japan surrenders. And the bigger catastrophe is the perpetuation of World War II with this one thing, which is a lesser evil. Even if this is evil, the dropping of bomb will lead to immediate surrender of Japan, and thus the war will come to an end. But nonetheless, the decision to drop a bomb and the consequence of dropping a bomb was done by pushing a button. It was not done by killing people through bayonets, through knives, through rifles. But in the way we look at the action, do we judge the work less harshly because it did not involve physical killing? Generally, if we take the example of wars that are going on in Russia or Ukraine, if bombs are dropped by planes and people are not killed physically through rifles, do you think that the culpability of the people who are involved, if one says that what they are doing is wrong, is dependent on how it is being done? Which is, if someone decides to take off the ventilator support from a person by switching off a button, is that person less guilty because the person has only switched off a button and the ventilator support or the life support is not working, rather than actively killing? Does the law recognize the difference in culpability between omission and commission? Sometimes people will die also because of omission. So I'm just putting these things out there. If you look at what happened in Hiroshima, it is another example. It is nothing but a trolley problem. Try and think about it, everything that I said. That people are not supposed to die. But if some people, Japanese people in a city die, or some cities are bombed out of existence, then that would lead to end of World War II. The utilitarian theory says that you do the larger thing for the greater thing for the greatest number. But does that make it right? Why is it that I am talking about? And there are multiple examples that I can give. But the point here that I'm trying to reach here is this: that the reason that we have written laws with where we have the constitution or the contract or the criminal laws is because as a society, even if we are well intentioned, if we start running the society through our subjective morality or our intuition on what is the right thing to do, it would lead to a chaos because our mind also plays games on us. What we think is the right thing to do, unless it is rooted to a particular principle, and that principle is something that is suited to the country, even if as people who have cognition and are well intentioned, we can't be running on our subjective intuition or morality. That is why we write those laws, so that every time we are there, we don't have to think by sitting in a group as to what is the right thing to do. And through an example I showed to you, that your own mind is will give you different reasons, or you will back down from some reasons, even if the situation is more or less the same. If I start putting features on the people whose lives you are deciding, whether they are your family, whether these are people who belong to a particular caste or a particular race, or they belong to a particular age group. So laws cannot justice the consideration of justice cannot run on our subjective notions or our intuitions, no matter how well founded those intuitions are. That is why what we do is we encode all of that morality in form of laws, so that every time we don't have to think about it. And that leads to a certain kind of certainty, a less chaotic society. I'll stop here because I sense that there's some people who had raised their hand. People who had raised their hand can raise it again. And this thing, that greater good for greater number, is not an absolute principle. Who are the people who believe that greater good in for greatest number is the principle?
So that was me. But I would like to retract my statement.
No, I am just telling you this, that if we are a democracy, democracy does not mean majoritarianism. Let me tell you,
Absolutely.
if you
Absolutely.
have fundamental rights, but what are fundamental rights guaranteed against?
To a human,
No,
to a citizen of India.
fundamental rights are given to you,
Oh, okay.
but it
Yes.
is a guarantee, no?
Yes.
Against what?
Against duties.
No, not it is a guarantee against state intervention or a bigger group intervention in those matters. If you say, let me ask you this, that I have a choice on what I would want to wear or what I want to eat or what is the religion I want to follow.
Okay.
This stems from there being a fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression,
Yes.
as well as fundamental right of conscience,
Yes.
right? So this
That is.
means that even if overwhelming number of people who are living around you
Hmm.
do not subscribe to your choice of your sartorial choices or clothing choices or
Yeah.
your eating habits or your religious belief, still you have a fundamental right, which means that the societal morality or the statist morality will not determine those questions,
Yes.
because these are rights that are given to you so that other people don't tell you just because they are larger in number they should not tell you, or they are not able to violate your freedom of speech and expression. You are
Absolutely.
your own person.
Yes. Yes.
So if you make fundamental rights to be utilitarian, then it will never be a fundamental right. What does it mean if you say that I have a freedom of religion or freedom to practice, which means even if you don't want to practice, no
You're
one
free
else
to
can
not
force you
profess.
that. If you say I have a freedom of speech, I have a freedom of association, I have a freedom of assembly, I have a freedom of occupation, trade, this means that this flows from yourself. And even if you are a minority of one in a country of 1.34 billion people, you have a fundamental right, which means if anyone encroaches upon that, in a great utilitarian tradition also, can be dragged to the court.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So utilitarian is another name for majoritarianism. And
Okay.
democracy it means that if that one will have a say in representation, it does not mean that there is a herds mentality
Yes.
on what is to be done.
Yes. But no, I would still like to retract my statement because I thought about it and I realized that my stance on the transplant surgeon problem is also contradictory to the utilitarian theory. So,
Yes.
because, like, as you
Similarly, there are
mentioned,
problems with
with the
deontological
facts.
theory also. What I am here is not
Yes.
what is understand why is it that I'm giving you this exercise.
Yes. Yes.
Is not to tell you which theory is better. No,
There is no better theory.
it is to tell you why we need written laws. And there is a certain kind of morality associated with entrenching laws or written laws, because we can't leave it to the good wisdom of people who want to do good, because in situations the world is very complicated, there are different values attached to what you see as facts, and there your mind will start giving you contradictory results. So it's better that the principle that is there and how you are going to act, as far as it deals with things in the public domain, are coded in form of laws.
Yeah.
And that is the relationship between law, morality, and justice. That is the reason. Okay. Now I ask you another question, another version of it. Tell me this. If you are an investigative officer
Okay.
and suppose there's a situation in India where you are in the know-how that there is a threat of terrorism or some explosives have been planted in public areas,
Okay.
and you have a suspected person. You are a person that you suspect to be mastermind. He's not in your custody. He's
Okay.
not. But you know that, like all of us, that person is very attached to the family. And if you think that you detain the family members of that suspected terrorist, which is his father, his mother, his sister, and you torture them, then the news of this torture will probably lead to the person surrendering. Then, in this situation, also as a person who has their faith under the Indian Constitution, how will you act? On one
Oh,
hand, you have uh, the threat of terrorism, where you are running on a tight clock. On the second situation, you have that someone is just suspected, but there is a possibility that the process of torturing the family will lead to the person surrender.
okay. But before I answer, I would like a little bit more information. So the suspicion of this person is am I the only person who suspects that
No,
they
there is a
have
reasonable suspicion, but also let me tell you this. Who decides whether a person is guilty or not?
the court?
Who are you?
I'm an
Investigative
investigator.
agent.
I have no place whatsoever to decide if this person is guilty or
But
not.
you are also an investigative agency.
Okay.
Now tell me this. And this is general. I would want to know how does this generation think?
Personally, I would not torture their family members because they have no role to play in in this placing of the bombs or the knowledge of the bombs. They're innocent bystanders here. They
Yeah.
have they have no part to play
Hmm.
in this scheme of things.
Anisha Das, yes, you have a question?
I was just wondering if are we talking about legality or ethics in regards to this? Because as far as I know, torture is illegal, so then I wouldn't do it. But if you're talking about the ethical part of this, I would still not do it, but there would be some doubt in my mind.
Okay.
Precisely, like if it was possible to somehow track down the suspect itself,
What I'm
then
asking
Then,
you is
yeah.
this.
yeah.
Understand this correctly. The situation has not changed. I
Okay.
am saying that legal consequences will not flow upon you. Right? That is the part. That is why this is a thought experiment.
Okay,
What
I'm
I'm
sorry.
interested in know is morally, what will you do? The law part of it, all of you are not lawyers, so leave that. I am asking you a very general thing. Whether you are pulling a lever or not, what do you think is the right thing to do? If your mind is telling you that the right thing to do legally and the right thing to do that you feel is very different, then also is something that has to be reflected and introspected in your own self. But here I am telling you this, that what do you think is the right thing to do? Which is that the question is about moral and ethics. Chaitanya and Nitika.
All right, sir. I believe that um, capturing and torturing the family members would is not the most ethical way, but it is the way we should go upon, because the terrorist is has planted bombs over public domains. Through this, they're butchering people's wives, friends, family, thousands
Okay,
of
let me
people's
make
lives.
it easier for you.
All
And
right.
then tell me. The person is not a suspected terrorist. Suppose the person is a person who has taken responsibility, has released a video most likely saying that, and I'm telling you is not under coercion, that the person has planted bombs. Now what will you do?
All right. Let me confirm that it is a civilian who has
Who
just
has
claimed.
accepted that yes, I'm planting bombs?
All right. So, as an investigative agency, first of all, the first thought that pops into my head is that is he or she a ploy or a puppet for whatever person who's all behind?
Whatever it is, I'm telling the person is taking responsibility. I am solving all your doubts.
All right. The
I
person
am
is
giving
taking
it to you.
responsibility. The
Let it be the higher voice that the person is responsible.
first course of action would be to disarm the bombs, and the
That is a different thing, that you are going beyond the question.
all right.
This is a thought experiment. What did I ask you? I asked you that will you torture their family to make them to force him to surrender or retrieve information to save more lives or not? Don't try and give me lawyers talk here. I am asking you a simple thing because we are trying to reach somewhere with this. That what do you think is the right thing to do
All right. If the
and
person,
why?
sir, if the person has claimed responsibility of the particular act, then the it's not just me who will be investigating and be involved in this crime. The government will be involved too, wouldn't they? Because they have claimed the responsibility. So for the first person, the first course of action would be to capture that person. So in
What
whatever
did I
means
tell
necessary.
you? What is the question? The question is this, no, we are on torture. I am not telling you what is the best way in which this attack can be averted. That is not the aim. The aim is that if you are in knowledge of this and you have a choice in torturing that family, which will make that person surrender, will you do it or not?
Yes, sir, I will do it.
Then why are you going in different direction? Why will you do it? Now let's come to the reason.
All right, sir. As I stated, sorry, sir. There's some disturbance in my
No,
society.
it's fine. We are having a
Sorry.
conversation. Tell me. Okay. Anyone else? People who are writing on chat can. It would be better if you can express yourself by speaking. Samaira, Mittal, Chaitanya, Anisha, in that order.
Sir, I won't torture the family because even if it's necessary to take some action, we cannot justify the necessity through torturing someone who's not even responsible for that. And the
Yes.
families are not at all responsible, even if it's a suspect, but
Hmm.
not the family.
So you are speaking about the deontological theory. I'll speak about it later.
Okay, sir.
So Samaira, Mittal, Jashvi, Nitika.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sir, I would take the family into custody, but I wouldn't torture them. But instead, I would leak fake news of torturing
No,
them to bring the.
that is not an option. I am telling you to confront your demons. So you are basically saying that I will not torture them.
Yes, sir.
Why are you circumventing? I am asking you not about how we can better address. I'm asking you a situation that can there be a situation where torture can be justified or not? This is the question. In a rule of law society, if the stakes are this high, that is part of
Sir, torture can never be justified, but as the policy of the greater good says, it's not the best policy, but anyway, just torture cannot be
So where is
justified.
that policy? Where are you guys getting into that policy? I have never seen such a policy. Greater good for greater number means what? That individuals become sacrificial lambs. Is it there in the constitution? Why
No,
why do you study about equality? Why do you study about fundamental rights? If you have to decide things in greater good, then tell me if greater good is the thing, then what is the difference between our republic and a khap panchayat, where village elders sit and decide what will people wear because they are thinking of what is in the greater interest, no? Then does the right thing to do
sir, there's
become
a
a casualty? Does the right thing to do become a casualty about how many people are standing in support of you?
Sir, there was some disturbance on my end and I couldn't hear what you said.
I am saying that is greater good. Where is it? Where are you getting it from? Okay, we'll circle back.
Uh,
Yeah, we'll circle
yes,
back to you. Let
sir,
me just
I
take other
said,
response. Yeah, tell me. Go ahead.
sir, I said that I do not think one can justify torture. That's my main
Okay,
point.
okay. Then you stop there. You said that under no situation torture can be morally justified. I think is the wrong thing to do. Okay. Nandini?
Sir, I will not torture that family even after the guilt of that person has been confirmed, because the family members are not the one who have committed the crime or have executed this plan. They are innocent just like any other citizen, and thus I have no right to torture
Question.
them.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. We have one final point. Jashvi Venkatesh.
So, yes, sir. As an investing officer, I would not torture the suspect's family, even if the goal was to save many people, as it was always a wrong. Ethically, if we see that, I would even become a criminal with a badge. It is just like that.
Okay.
So, my answer is definitely no. I would not
I
torture
think
them.
all of you are correct here, legally also, because the situation is, first of all, no matter how heinous the crime is, have you ever seen that the family is punished if the family is not involved? Do we have a system of communal culpability? If I have done something wrong, then I will be punished. People who had nothing to do with it. That is what the rule of law society means. That the person who is responsible is the person who has to be punished. Also, the principle is innocent until proven guilty, which means that no matter how tempting the option of torture looks like, there has to be, always remember this, there is a difference between a terrorist and an individual who believes in rule of law, or there is a difference between the actions that are available to a terrorist and to a rule of law society, which is that the rule of law society has to fight its battle with one hand tied to its back, and that one hand is the hand of which is rule of law. You don't have everything at your disposal that is available to a person who is an outlaw or a terrorist. That is why people trust you. If you stoop down to the same level that criminals and terrorists do and start saying that ends justify the means, then in the long run, people will not have trust in your capacity. So always remember that any kind of torture is not justified under any situation. Let me also go ahead and be categorical that even when you are giving a punishment to someone, no, it can't be a torture-based punishment. Because even under fundamental right, what is said is that the punishment that is given can't be cruel and inhuman. Even if you're killing a person, it can't be that there is a public hanging. It cannot be that there is a slow torture that the person dies. Because dignity is inherent in everyone. And that does not mean that if one is in prison, it means that even if there is a punishment, the punishment can't be public flogging. The punishment can't be slow torture till the person dies. Because we are a rule of law society. We are not a barbarian society. And sometimes the examples that you create are the examples that live with people. So there has to be some restraint. And here, this is what the deontological approach says, that for people who have nothing to do with it, even if it leads to saving of a lot of lives, it cannot come at human rights of those individuals. What is the meaning of human rights? If it means that whenever human rights, why we call some things to be fundamental and human rights is this, that no matter how grave the situation is, you will not end up violating human rights of an individual. That is why they are fundamental. They reside in you. So I just gave you an extreme situation to let you just think that a deontological approach will mean that a person is innocent until proven guilty, and only a person who has done something wrong can be punished, and not all people who have been associated with that person through family ties or through other kinds of ties. So what we have learned for today is that even if we know what is the right thing to do, you have to probe in your mind if you are thinking like a lawyer and think about what is the principle, why am I saying it, that this is the right thing to do, and then try and test it, that if this is a contextual principle or if this is a universal principle. Universal principle would mean that no matter what the situation or what is the severity of the situation, it should apply. If it is a contextual thing, then also in your mind you will say that this is contingent. Okay. So I would urge you to go back and look at the video. Also look at the video for on constitutional history, and we'll continue with the discussion. Okay. Are there any questions? So I'll now stop. We are in the last 5 minutes. If there are any questions or observations, then I would be happy to take those.
So it's not exactly a question, but what is your opinion on the organ transplant dilemma? What would you do if you were the doctor?
Okay.
Since we didn't discuss that.
So I will not kill the person who has come
To thank you.
who has come to thank me. That is not the way I'll pay my dues. And this is for the simple reason that utilitarian theory does not mean, and first of all, I am not any ordinary citizen. I am a doctor who has taken an oath.
Yes.
And this means that even if one can save 5 lives here, a person, in my understanding, who is innocent will not be touched.
Yes.
And that is the principle. You'd also be interested in, some of you go back and read this case, which is the Explorers case.
Spelunkian explorers.
Yes, and that is based on this. I'll tell you, for most of the people, what happened here was that there were 5 or 6 people who were stranded at sea, and they had no hope of being rescued. And when you're stranded at sea, one can't drink that water. They ran out of their supplies or they had no supply. And later on, what happened was that on that boat, there was a very sick teenager or a boy who was the youngest and not keeping well. He was just about to die or whatever. He was not keeping well, and rest of the people were also starved. Then either through a lottery or whatever it is, they claim that it is through a lottery. It was said that that the persons whose name comes out, that person will be killed by other people so that other people can feed off the flesh of that person. And this led to uh, that young boy being killed because he was already unwell, and some of the people fed on that meat so that they could all survive. And miraculously, after a week or so, some ship spotted them and then they were brought on shore. And there's a huge case that was to be decided in UK Supreme Court, where these people took the defense of necessity. They said that we were all stranded, and out of necessity, it was just his bad luck that his name came out, and there was no we should not be booked for manslaughter or murder, because this is a defense of necessity, that this was the only thing that we could have done for all of us to survive, otherwise all of us would have died. So there in this, if you read this case is freely available. I don't want to spoil it for you by telling you what court decided. But you can see that the question of moral dilemma that is there is inbuilt into this case. If some of you think that what happened in the past, but do we deal with such dilemmas? I gave you 2 examples. I'll give you 5 more examples for you to think about the inner morality. All of us know about self-driving cars, right? Which and self-driving cars of Tesla. Now tell me that if a person has made a mistake, or if it is a driverless car, and sometimes if the driverless car has to make that choice, if it goes straight, then it will end up going and striking a wall because it does not have enough time to divert, and that would mean that the person who is owning the car will die. And the other thing is that it will turn left. On turning left, if it runs over some civilian, there also one can have a choice whether it will run over a civilian or a living organism which is not human. Even between civilians, there can be a choice whether it will run over someone who is old, or to say to and not run over people who are young. So all of these are choices that are based on what kind of morality is being fed into or is being coded into these decisions. And all of it goes to a particular school. If you believe in greater good for greater number, then you will look at these things very differently. If you look at deontological view, then it means that if the driverless car has made a mistake, then the driver should suffer. Automatically, it should not turn left or right. So these, even in driverless car, or how we in Uber, and these are dilemmas that we do face in a day-to-day life. Okay. So I'll stop here, and I'll see you all next week for the next session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.